So welcome to the main event today, everybody. We got a very special guest. It's Jimmy Tubbs. Jimmy's a real estate executive from Garden City, Long Island. He's long been associated with sports, having served as business manager for broadcaster Brent Musburger at CBS Sports for more than a dozen years. Tubbs has had a love of dogs, so a few years ago, he decided to combine his passions and give back. He joined the puppy raising team at the Guide Dog Foundation in Smithtown, and Tubbs welcomes 8-week-old pups to his home, nurtures them for 14 or 18 months until they are ready for a final training as guide dogs for the blind. His most recent prodigy was a Labrador retriever named Radar. The story of how Radar came into Tubbs's life and who the puppy has gone on to assist is heartwarming and uplifting.
From the ice to the water, Radar, a Guide Dog Foundation puppy raised by the Islanders, has been placed with a Garden City teenager who's hoping to swim her way to gold in the 2021 Paralympics in Tokyo. News 12 Long Island's Virginia Huey has their story.
Anastasia Pagonis dreams of going for the gold in the 2021 Paralympics in Tokyo.
I'm reaching for the stars.
The 16-year-old, known as Tas to her family and friends, is blind. She lost her sight to a genetic disorder called Stargardt disease at age 14, but remains focused on her goals.
I'm just working my butt off trying to get there, training hard.
Giving her power and purpose behind each stroke is her four-legged teammate, Radar.
He is the most amazing thing, honestly, that has happened to me.
The 2-year-old yellow lab became her guide dog a week ago.
I had to be dependent on a lot of people before him, and now I feel so free and independent and like that I can conquer the world with him.
The team of Tas and Radar was made possible by a unique partnership between the Smithtown Guide Dog Foundation and the New York Islanders. In 2018, the Isles drafted Radar in the Puppy with a Purpose program. The team donated $40,000 to the Smithtown Guide Dog Foundation to train the then 8-week-old pup to become a full-service guide dog. Radar spent part of his training at the Islanders' home games at the Nassau Coliseum.
The Islanders really grabbed hold to our mission and helped, provide an atmosphere for Radar both at the practice facility and the team facility and, the events that they had to help socialize him.
We would walk around at various parts of the arena for him to be exposed to different types of visuals, to say, get him closer to the ice where more distractions would happen. It actually was a great training mechanisms that we were able to use and expose him to things that now he's totally prepared for.
He helps me with getting around everywhere. He can find doors. He can pretty much take me anywhere. He is so smart. It's actually insane.
With Radar by her side, Tas says she's feeling stronger and more confident in her quest for the gold.
I just want to show other people that you can do things, and if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Virginia Huey, News 12, Long Island.
So we just watched this inspirational video of how Radar was named and how he has influenced Paralympic swimmer Anastasia Pagonis. Jimmy, how did you get involved in Radar's life?
Well, it all started a couple of years, about a little over 5 years ago, Jim, where I was a member of the Mineola Lions Club. And each year we donate $10,000 to the Guide Dog Foundation to sponsor a puppy. And at that stage of my life, I had a schedule that gave me some free time. I was looking to do some volunteer work in some way. And I thought about, well, why don't I try raising a guide dog puppy? So through our connections, I went over to the Guide Dog Foundation, got myself through their little training program, and got a dog named Caroline, who you can see in the picture behind me. And Caroline was my first venture, and at that time, I was doing a lot of work with the New York Islanders, doing some private catering for the team. So the players started asking about the dog and asked me to bring the dog to the locker room, which I did a couple of times for some training sessions. And one thing led to the other. And the following year, the Guide Dog Foundation and the Islanders got together and did a puppy calendar. And after that first year, the relationship with the foundation started developing with the Islanders. And then they got into the Islanders decided to sponsor a dog. I was raising, Caroline had already left me and had gone to formal training. Subsequently, I've gotten Caroline back because she's been retired. But I was in the process of raising another dog. And when the Islanders decided to sponsor their dog, and I was asked if I would be the puppy raiser because I was familiar with the Islanders and comfortable around them, and they were vice versa. So I got involved in this dog, and so Radar got picked, and then the Islanders had a vote from the fans to name the puppy. But what happened was, a little insight, is the 4 or 5 names that the Islanders had, I suggested one more, and I suggested Radar, which I think the light bulb went off on everybody's head at the organization because of Al Arbor. And what better name could you have for a guide dog than Radar? And it won by an overwhelming vote. And about 2 weeks after the puppy was selected, when Radar was done at the nursery, he was given to me at 8 weeks old to raise and to get him through his puppy years and his young adult years. And I had him for about 17 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So of course, Radar is the nickname of Al Arbor, the great Islander legendary coach. And did you have any idea, Jimmy, when you started, that Radar would find a home with Anastasia, another athlete?
No, actually, as a puppy raiser, what happens is when you return the puppy to the foundation for its 3 months of formal training, you're basically saying goodbye to the dog. And, Tasa had just recently had lost her vision because she only lost it a couple of years ago. And they were thinking about putting themselves on the guide dog list. One of their concerns was Tasa's brother had some allergies. So they asked if I would come over to bring the dogs and to see how her brother reacted. So I went over for about 30 minutes and met with the family, and no reaction by the brother. So that was good. So that was their start of getting themselves signed up. But immediately when I left the house, I called the Guide Dog Foundation people, the people that I deal with. And I said, I found the perfect match for Radar. And the immediate response from the Guide Dog Foundation is, well, that's not how we do things. And I got a big fat no. So then where Radar left me and went to formal training, I stayed on the case of nudging them. And then they said to me, all right, we're going to interview the family, which was a positive step. And they interviewed with them, made sure all their paperwork and application was in place. And then Radar was getting near graduation, did fantastic in his training. And I get a call the February before the pandemic hit that they're going to try to match them up. And then I get a terrible phone call saying that because it was the Olympic season, Toss was not going to be able to take a 2-week break to train with Radar, so that they would have to wait till after the Olympics and try to get another dog.
So that's a requirement, right, Jimmy? That before somebody can finally adopt a pet like this or a guide dog, they need to spend time with them. And what did they do that at the Guide Dog Center?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's set up. It's a fairly large campus that has a kennel, has a breeding center, And then it has its training center, which is, these dogs, to get them through, is about $50,000. So they're extremely valuable animals. And it's done under very, locked up, very safe. And they have at the campus, I don't want to say it's a dormitory setup, but they have set up like apartments. So when the person's going to get the dog, they come and they live like they're living in an apartment, and they get trained in the kitchen with the dog. They get trained in the bathroom with the dog, and in an environment that they're going to live in. Toss had to pass on it because of the Olympics. So I was crushed, but you know what? She was going to get another dog. And then a couple of weeks after that happened, the pandemic starts. And if everybody remembers, in the first couple of days, we didn't know what it was going to be like. Shut down for a week, shut down for a weekend. And then I started hearing rumors as it got more and more going on from my sports connections that the Olympics were probably going to get postponed. So I called the people at the foundation again, and I said, guys, I hear that that the Olympics are going to get postponed. And they were like, what do you mean? Because again, nobody really knew what was going on. Radar then went to live with one of the trainers to keep him in training, and to keep him sharp and ready to go. I want to say it was June, they started doing off-site training. So they called up the Paconuses and said, would you like to start training with Radar at your house?
Wow.
We'll come to your house on a daily basis. We'll see if they're a match, and we'll start the training process there. So I heard about this happening before the foundation even told me. And I got in my car and I drove over to the neighborhood, and I watched the first day as they were outside with Radar, who I hadn't seen in 6 months, and watched the process start. And something that usually takes 2 weeks to decide, I got a call 3 days into training and they said they're a perfect match.
I wanted to just focus for another second on, is there a particular breed of dog that lends itself better to being a guide dog? And,
Yeah.
and how do you figure out that a puppy's even a fit for the program?
They basically, I would say it's well over 90% use labs, yellow, white, and black labs. So they use labs because a lab will go and live with anybody. I could have a puppy here in my life for 14 months, for 2 or 3 weeks. During that period, he may go with another puppy raiser, because they just like to get him acclimated with other people, and I'll get that person's puppy. Or I might go away for a couple of weeks, and the foundation will take him back, and they don't care. It's not that they don't still love me, and vice versa, but they're happy to go and get dropped off at grandma's house like your children, and it's a new experience for them. And then they got to go to formal training, and now they're being with somebody else for 3 months, and then they go and live with somebody. So the dog has to be
I don't know how
adapted.
you do it, because I'd be crying all the time. Every time I let him go, I'd be like, oh, my baby, come back.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for it, and some people can't do it.
I wouldn't be able to do that. That's hard. You
Yeah,
get attached.
What the foundation does, especially if someone who wants to be a puppy raiser, and by the way, they are in dire need of puppy raisers, anybody that sees this video. What they do sometimes is people become puppy sitters. So again, and they get certified for it, especially people who have children, because the children might not want to give them up. And will the children properly train the dog?
Right.
There are certain guidelines that you'll have to follow that you probably wouldn't follow if you had a normal puppy at your house.
And Jimmy, you touched on something that's very important to a lot of the patients who are watching this today, and that's pet therapy at the hospital. I know it's one of the most sought after days for patients is the days when they have some pet therapy. And and dogs are brought in and able to interact with them.
We're at every home game. There were people every single game that said, "Oh, I couldn't wait to come back and see him." And his interaction with the children, he put up with all the goofy adults that are at the game. Okay. He put up with, and he doesn't have a care in the world. He's so happy-go-lucky. But the children, he would bond with them like you couldn't believe, and would give them the time of day, and kids that would do crazy stuff, and he would just be, no problem. One day we were on the Long Island Railroad going to a playoff game. It was an afternoon game. The train is packed like sardines. It's like sardines. So we get to the Mineola train station. We go into the pub next door, waiting for the train, packed with Islander fans, screaming Radar's name when he comes in, and he's in his jacket, so he's working. He's not socializing unless I tell him it's okay. We get on the packed train, and he could care less. There's no room for him. There's no room for me. You've been on these trains. You get it. And a woman got on the train at New Hyde Park. She had a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an infant that she was carrying in the car seat. She's by herself. She was meeting her husband at the game. Nobody on the train gets up for her. So she's standing with all of us, and she puts the baby down on the ground where we made some room. Radar, who was laying down close by, stood up and went over and put his head over that baby's lap to protect the baby.
Wow.
There was no command by me. It was just a natural reaction by him. And for the next 30 minutes till we got to Brooklyn, Radar never left. So when I had to give up Radar, as the day was approaching, I had to, I got myself really ready. And I was like, and I knew they were going to videotape it for PR purposes. And I was ready. I was ready to let him go on, I knew he was ready. And so I get there, and I drop him off at the training session. They take some photographs, and then you'd leave, you're done. And I go to my car, and I'm good. I'm comfortable. I'm really good. So about 4 hours later, I get a phone call from people at the Islanders on a speaker in the office. We just saw the video. Everybody in the office is crying. And I didn't see the video. I didn't know anything. And my phone is blowing up because they posted it on all the social media sites. And everybody sees this little 1-minute video that they put together from Radar from the day one to me dropping him off. And then I see the video. And then my kids see the video. And then I get emotional thinking about it now. And then it all came, it all sunk in. And, and the rest has just been a beautiful story. And fortunately, because TAS is so close, I get to see them. My first reunion with them, I hadn't seen Radar in 9 months. I wasn't sure if he'd even recognize me. I didn't know how it would be. And as I approached them, it was at this training pool center where TAS trained. I'm wearing a mask because it's COVID. And as I got closer to them, and Radar was in his harness, so he's not going to release unless he gets the command it's okay. And as I got closer, and I think he smelled me because his tail just started wagging, and he's on job, and they don't get distracted. And then TAS released him, and he was as happy as to see me as I was to see him. And people that were there, everybody started crying.
How could you not?
that didn't even know us.
That's heartwarming. Come on.
It was amazing. And then I got to sit with TAS, and she was, telling me how, how it's helped save her life. And he's lays down.
I was just going to ask you that, Jimmy, because we kind of buried the lead with Toss.
Yeah.
What impact do you think that radar has had on her life already?
Well, when Toss first started having vision problems, no one knew it was going to get to this seriousness that it got to. And then basically when she got the diagnosis and, basically lost all of her vision, she was done. She packed it in. She, basically went into a deep depression that she openly talks about. She got radar in the middle of that. And she didn't have to completely rely on her mom, her dad, her coaches. She got, as she says, she got her independence back. She got a live-in guardian angel.
It had to be extremely gratifying for you to know and have the opportunity, quite honestly, as the person who got radar started on this path, to see just how effective he is and the impact he has on her life. So that's a blessing for you, really.
It is. It's extremely rewarding personally. I'm not going to lie about that. But you gotta, the people at the Guide Dog Foundation, the people that work there, the people that are in the public relations department, the people that are in the back office, they're all in on this. They have volunteers that, drive the dogs all over the country, drive them to the airports, people that are retired, people that puppy raise, people that puppy sit, people that volunteer to work in the nursery, people that volunteer to go to the kennel and play with dogs all day long. Now, a lot of people I meet and I give them the card and the information, they're like, I can do that? I can volunteer. I can go walk puppies. I could sit a puppy for a weekend. People's love, and that foundation, the work that they do, everything that they do there is on funds that they raise. They do not get any grants. They raise, and their charity, it's all public information. I'm not giving anything out, but they have a budget of about $19 million, and it's all from fundraising. It's all from generous donors. It's all from whatever way they can get it. My children don't live with me anymore. They're all grown. They have been impacted by this. They can't wait to get here when I have puppies. They can't wait to see Caroline. They follow the radar story and the Toss story, just like the public has watched it, because it's just getting better and better, and the girl gets a gold medal and a world record.
I mean, that part of it is so, it's icing on the cake, really, for this.
Yeah. And again, back to the original part of the question, her mom and dad, Tessa's mom and dad, they did what they had to as parents, what we do for our children, and they still have to do it. It's not an easy road for them, but radar has, been unbelievably special for her, and if it wasn't radar, it would have been another great dog that, but the radar story is a little bit neat, how it came about, and being local and tying it up with the Islanders. It's got extra special written all over it.
Well, Jim, this has been extra special, having this opportunity to talk with you about your life with radar and the Pagonis family. And we can't thank you enough for sharing it with us. I know it's going to be uplifting to all of the patients who get a chance to see this. So thank you so much for sharing it with us today.